Black Clover chapter 384 is out, and Asta is back to fight Lucius with Yuno. It was a great chapter, guys. Let's read it. So the chapter begins with Asta reuniting with Leo, Longris, and Finral. Libe apologizes for his mistake against Lucius, and Asta says it's okay. And everybody's getting fired up for this final fight. But then Noel walks in, and she says, I swear you're such, and she was gonna call him an idiot, but she says, you did a good job. She says, consider yourself complimented, and we knew this was hard for her, but I'm glad she didn't call him a baka, you know? Then she eats some food to restore her magic, and then Asta says, Mimosa, I promise I'll come back alive. Then Asta and Noel fly away, but then Asta shares his anti-magic with Noel. She has a new form called Valkyrie Armor Black Dragon form. It looks insanely cool. Then she sees an enemy up ahead. It's some archangels, and Noel says, I'll take care of them, Asta, you go up ahead. Then we cut to the land of the sun, and the whole palace is destroyed. And it's Lucius who did this, and he's holding up Ryu by his neck. And Lucius remote controlled one of his bodies and went there and wrecked everything. And he says, we finally meet Ryu, your future was one that I could not see, you were a thorn in my side, but tell me, why did you help Asta? Ryu says he gave up his magic and it was rougher than he thought, but he didn't want to give up on his dream that he made with his best friend. And to escape that harsh reality, one day he looked around the whole entire world to find his friend. One day he stumbled upon a magicless boy who was a peasant. And he literally watched all of Asta's journey, and he said that he saw him meet Yami, his friend, and watching this gave him strength, it gave him courage to do better. And he says, we do not support you, we support Asta. Then Yosuga emerges from the rubble and cuts off Lucius's head. And he says, looks like you weren't the one to impress our shogun. We cut back to the Clover Kingdom, and Lucius is gonna try and finish off Yuno, and he says, you don't have any more anti-magic left. Yuno says, yeah, and he's like, this will be the last one. Then he does a black meteorite and cuts Lucius's cheek, and then he lets go of his sword. Then Asta arrives and catches the sword, and he says, sorry I'm late, Yuno. Then Lucius wants to play cheap again, and he says, can you cut through her? And Yuno is pissed on Asta's behalf, but he's like, it's alright. Asta's like, right, Libe? And Libe's just thinking. Libe says he swore an oath back then, and what's important to him right now is what Lucita protected. It was Asta and me, and then Asta swings a Zeton. It was very swift, and he took away Lucita's paladin form. So is she brought back to life now? I don't know exactly, but then Yuno teleports her away. Then the chapter ends off with Asta saying, brace yourself, Lucius, this is the final battle. But yeah, guys, that was the chapter, and it was a really good one. We saw a bunch of characters this chapter. We saw Noel in her new form. We saw the Hino Country. Like, a lot of people were cooking in this chapter. I loved seeing Ryu's backstory. It was so peak that he was watching Asta the whole time. Like, we learned his backstory, and he was encouraged by Asta peak. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna be covering the next two chapters. Black Clover chapter 385 is out, and Yami got another upgrade because of Adremalek. It's a great new form. Let's read this chapter. So the chapter picks up where we last left off with Lucius versus Asta and Yuno. And yes, it's very chaotic. They're avoiding his bone chains. And they're flying through buildings and they're wrecking them. They're exchanging so many attacks we can't see them, and they're just destroying the building. Imagine the fight scenes in the anime for this. It's gonna be peak. Here's the next page. I couldn't find the best quality, but they're just destroying everything. They're exchanging a ton of attacks. And Lucius is thinking to himself, these rivals are leveling each other up. They're going faster. Even deeper, we see them two right there. They're getting even stronger, and Lucius is getting annoyed. He's getting pissed. We cut to Adremalek, and he's watching all the chaos ensue, and he smiles. We cut to Morgan's new paladin form, and he's going off. Look at this. And Yami, Noct, and Ichika are hiding from him, but then Adremalek pulls up on them. And he says, do you want some help? And he really admires Yami's dark magic. He was the sacrifice to open the gate to the underworld, so he really admires his strength. And Yami says, why exactly would you help us? Adremalek says, because humans are more interesting. Like, all of y'all are fighting Lucius, and you're giving him a good fight, and he finds this way more interesting. He says, this feeling is giving me the thrills, and Yami's like, you know what? I like this. I will take that gamble. And then Yami and Adremalek fuse, and this is Yami's new form. He has some new feathers on his wrist and new horns. Then we see Lucius, and he's like, Adremalek, what are you doing? And he says, this is so much more fun, Lucius. He said it would not be fun if you win. And Yami's like, oh hey, you're magic. And Adremalek says, it's not very devilish, but put it to good use. They all go at Morgan, and then a beam of light hits him, and we see his face. And then we learn that Adremalek has light magic, and he says that a supreme devil's light magic can defeat a paladin. It takes a devil to fight another devil, and then we see Yami. He looks clean. He cuts Morgan in half, and then he disappears, and they win, and that's the chapter. Tabata is going 2 for 2 so far. This was a great chapter. I can't believe we finally learned about Adremalek, like what his motives are. Like we found out about his magic, but he really just wanted to have some fun. Like he didn't want Lucius to win. He thinks humans are more interesting, that's why he's always watching. He wasn't always plotting something bigger, he was just watching. I hope we learn more about him, he's super interesting, and Yami got a new form. I wonder if they'll continue that relationship they have. Lucius is getting frustrated with all the work that Asta and Yuno are putting in. But this was the chapter, guys. I'm going to cover the next chapter in the next video. Follow me for more. Black Clover chapter 386 is out, and Yuno has a new form, and Asta has reached true devil union. We have possibly reached the final fight in Black Clover. Let's read this chapter. The chapter begins with Mereoleona standing over the defeated paladin Ossier, and she looks up and sees Asta and Yuno fighting Lucius, and they're giving him too much work, so what he does is he jumps up and creates a big spell, and he says, "You can probably survive this, but can the citizens?" He's creating a gargantuan spell, and everyone's looking up. Yeah, this is huge, look at it. And Asta and Yuno have no choice but to stop it. But then Fuegoleon comes out of nowhere and says, "You two focus on Lucius." He says, "I finally got the hang of it," and he says, "Spirit dive." And look at him, he looks so cool, and Mereoleona is right beside him, and they're like, "We still don't have enough." And then they call for their little brother Leo. He says, "I'm on my way," and he's thinking to himself, "I can finally stand next to y'all." They're all standing there together, and then they shoot an attack at the gargantuan spell. They put everything into that spell, and now it's destroyed. Then Asta and Yuno emerge from the spell, and they start attacking Lucius. And Belle and Libe are like, "Asta, Yuno, we are becoming one." They are in sync right now. They upgraded. Asta is now in true devil union, and Yuno has this new form. I wonder what it is. Them two together are so cool. Then to end off the chapter, they attack Lucius, and that's it. Right here, I'm pretty sure this will be the final battle in Black Clover, or at least the final battle between Lucius, Asta, and Yuno. But something blocked Asta's attack, and I think Lucius has another plan. Like his arms are like this, so I'm guessing he has like 2 swords. He blocked his attack with some weapon, and I wonder what it is. But we are nearing the end game now. I wonder what can happen. Obviously, they're gonna win, but how? But what did y'all think of this chapter, guys? It was great. I love it.